خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين وآله وصحبه أجمعين. So what two surahs there? Potentially 2 nights. Most likely 1 night. So the Olton project, the last couple of years have been going with Al-Falaq of Morocco. There is a local present room cycling group, but the committee of the Olton project decided to stick with the Moroccan cycling for the time being until there's enough motion within that movement. But clearly there may well be a split again in the days, but try and remain united within your families at least, and know that both opinions are right about the local sighting, which I myself find is a lot more convincing. However, the other of following one Muslim country is also a valid opinion. So please try not to let it disunite between families. This is really, really important. But as we've got potentially 1 night of Ramadan left, are we okay to do the 2 surahs, or is that gonna Sunday tomorrow, isn't it? People haven't got work, right? Unless you work in some places are thinking. Bismillah, you happy or not happy? People need to get going. You're okay? We can do both? Bismillah, mashallah. So we're talking about the Mu'alatayn, the 2 last surahs of the Quran al-Karim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I seek refuge in the Lord of the Falaq. Falaq is what the subh is, the first moment of light coming into the sky. Yeah, we have al-Falaq al-Kadhib wa-Sadiq, right? For those people who study fiqh, there's the false light, which is that light that strikes up into the sky, and then you have a second light which goes across the horizon. But falaq means a separation from something. So it's not necessarily just a separation from the day and the night, but it can also be a separation of when plants come up through the earth, or where springs come from mountains, or rain comes from the rain clouds, right? It's this splitting up, falaq, splitting from one thing to another. So we're seeking refuge with the Lord of things that split from one from another. Because when we need refuge, there's a sense of constriction and a sense of being tied to something. Right? When people are they want to make refuge from something, they want to flee from something, it's because they're in a state of constriction and difficulty. When a plant comes up from the earth, there's an ease. There's a lot of energy that it takes to get from the seed up through the surface. Once it's up through the surface, then it can generate its energy from the sun and water, etc. But before, it's a lot of energy. So we seek refuge in the Lord of the Falaq. Min sharri ma khalaq. It's from the evil of what He's created. I.e., this is a generic thing. So all the evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, we believe that good and evil is both created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't divide the powers between Shaitan and God and etc., which other religions may tend to make that seemingly so. But we seek refuge in the evil that He's created. وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ, and we seek refuge from the evil when the night spreads over. Not that the night necessarily is evil in itself. We're here worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the night time. But they say al-laylu akhfa lil-wayl, that when the night comes, it covers up mischief, right? And you get that sense. You don't let your kids out after dark, right? Because there's a sense that there's more danger tends to happen in the night time. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and seeking refuge from the evil of the blowing into the knots. This was the original sabab al-nuzul for these two surahs was that a Jewish man named Lubay, he wanted to do evil and sihr on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he tied 11 knots and he blew on these knots and he did sihr upon the Prophet and he threw it into a well. And the Prophet ﷺ was affected by this sihr, which it shows it's a real thing. Sihr exists, hasad exists, nazar exists, these things that we need to seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from, even to the point that the Prophet, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was affected by this until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these two surahs. And these two surahs, there's 5 in Surah Al-Falaq, 5 ayahs, and 6 in Surah An-Nas, i.e. the 11 knots. So as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam recited each ayah, 1 knot came undone, one by one for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he felt an immediate release from the evil that was affecting him. وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. And we also seek refuge in the evil of the envier when they envy. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Al-hasad ya'kul al-hasanat kama ta'kul an-nar al-hatab." That hasad eats good deeds up like the fire eats up dry wood. The ulama say that hasad was the first ma'asiyah, it was the first calamity or bad deed, because Iblis had hasad for Adam alayhi salam, and this was the cause of his downfall. And the second one, in terms of amongst humanity, was Qabil for his brother Habil, hasad for him. So even though these weren't the crimes themselves, but what led to the crimes was hasad, was envy. So when someone envies someone, there's different stages. So someone will envy another person to the point where they just want what they have and they want it removed. If they can't have it, I'm not going to let you have it. So that's a hasad, right? So-and-so's got something and I'm upset about it and I want it to be removed from me. The second state is that I'm upset, but I don't want to take it from you, but I'll take it from you if I can't have it. The third state is you have it, I want you to keep it, and I to have that at the same time. That's jaiz, that's okay, that's permissible to have. That's a state of hasad, which is okay to have. This is not blameworthy, this is not right. But the best is that you are happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because al-hasidu harms, the person who has hasad harms themselves in several ways. The first is that hasad in itself is haram, right? To have hasad for things. The second is that it's su'al adab Allah ta'ala, that is bad manners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because having hasad means that you're not satisfied with what you've got. You're not satisfied with what you've got, then you're looking around at what everybody else has got, right? The state of the Joneses. So, because this is haqiqatul hasad kirahatun in'am Allah ta'ala. The third thing is that you're just harming your heart with lots of hum wa hum, lots of just worry. And this is the problem with relative wants from other people, like looking around, and it happens all the time in every, if someone's got a nicer house next door, then people are looking at the nicer house. If someone's got a nicer tent, they live in the desert, they look at the nicer tent. It's all relative, but it happens in every single culture and every single people. It's just about relative to what people are around you, people are looking at. But the problem is it just takes up so much of your time and so much of your headspace and so much of your heart that you're just doing yourself an injustice and a disservice to your own heart. So this surah is 5 surahs long, hence why I only started to think about, have you thought about the hand? You've seen that, you go around the marketplaces in Egypt or Turkey, you see the blue hand? I don't know if you knew this, but the 5 fingers, I was just reading in Ibn Juzay al-Kalbi's tafsir here, that the 5 fingers is for the 5 ayat of the Quran, of Surah Al-Falaq. That people used to say, by these 5, that we wipe away the hasd of the ayn, so you see the eye with the 5 fingers. So they have, all these things have roots to things. So Surah An-Nas, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I seek refuge in the Lord of human people, humankind. The King of human people, humankind. The Lord of humankind. So, if we think about these different names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Rabb, and then you have Malik, and then you have Ilah. Rabb, other things can be Rabb, like Rabbul Bayt, Rabbul Dar is the person who owns the house. So a person can, and we all Rabb of something, right? Malik is only for certain human beings, not everyone can be a king or a queen, so there's a higher kind of rank to that. But Ilah, nothing other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a deity. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking us through things that, so Rabb and Malik attributes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but see, when we have experienced evil and waswasa, we try and help ourselves through the means of people. And then we try and go to authorities, people that might help us. It might be the hakim or the doctor or the wazir, whatever it is. But then in reality, we have to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes we think it's only a really difficult situation we need to go back to Allah. In reality, we need to go back to Allah for everything. Min sharr al-waswas al-khannas, from the whisperings of the devil. So waswas, the whispering. So waswas itself is one of the names of shaitan, but also al-khannas. Khannas is referring to when you make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shaitan flees from you. But the whispering in order to get you to return from the dhikr to the ghafla is this aspect of khannas, that he's continuously trying to get you to return back to your state of ghafla. الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. This shaitan that whispers in the breasts of men, of people. So what does shaitan try and do in terms of the whispering? The first thing he wants to do is get rid of your iman. That's the first, aim of shaitan. So if he can give you tashkik, doubt in your aqidah, where he can give you doubt in your iman, he will do that. But if he can't do that, then what does he do? He turns to make you try to whisper to make you do bad things like asking. If he's not able to do that, then what does he do? He stops you from doing good deeds, or tries to stop you from doing good deeds. If he's not able to do that, then Ibn Juzay al-Kalbi says he makes you show off in your good deeds. Right? See the levels of shaitan will go to try and bring you down. Okay, fine, you're not going to stop Talawih Prayer, but you're going to do Talawih Prayer so that so-and-so says you've gone to Talawih Prayer. Right? This is And then what if shaitan can't get to that? Then he's going to give you ujub. Right? So even though you're not showing off, but in yourself you're thinking, I pray Talawih. Right? The state of ujub that might come into someone's heart because they've done so much ibadah, etc. But then when you have ujub, then that leads to things like hasad for other people, right? Because you want to be the one that prays the most. You want to be the one that gives the most sadaqah. So then you're back to the start. You're back to the beginning. So this is the tricks of shaitan. Now what's the ilaj? What's the cure? So I want to leave you all depressed. That the ilaj, there's 3 things. Number 1, ikthar min dhikrillahi ta'ala, to make lots of dhikr of Allah. And the second is to do lots of isti'adha, to seek refuge from Allah, from shaitan with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And these 2 surahs, especially when you're feeling any of these tricks of the trade of shaitan, then you need to go to the mu'adhatayn. Yeah, to repeat these often. Recite them on your children, recite them with your children. Recite them in the morning and the evening. And so these surahs is one of the most beneficial of ta'weed that we can do. And the third thing is that we always go against what shaitan is trying to whisper for us to do. So these are 11 ayahs revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. These are an absolute gift for mankind, an absolute treasure for us. Short yet extremely powerful, that inshallah will protect us from the tricks of shaitan. And alhamdulillah, I hope that through these evenings that we've all benefited. I benefited a lot from starting to have stopping and thinking about these short surahs that we're reciting. And hopefully you realise the importance. Many of you are students of knowledge, etc., ulama. So I'm humbled to be talking in front of you, but just reflecting on the ayahs of the Quran al-Kareem helps so much connect to the Quran, connect to the prayer when you're reciting it. These are just glimpses into very, very short tafsir of the Quran. And so hopefully there's encouragement, inshallah, to continue through this year. Hopefully we're going to make intention this evening as Ramadan's coming to a close that we keep connected to this book and we keep connected to the tafsir of the Quran, inshallah. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.